Hi, everyone.
Hi.
This is another episode of Life Possible with a Disability. If you're liking this, go in and hit like and subscribe on YouTube or whatever audio platform you're listening on. I'm really excited today. Erika Bogan is my dear friend at this point, and she's part of what we like to call the Abilities Expo family. Like she's really there all the time and I'm there sometimes, but whenever we're together, it feels very much like a family. We are also part of the Miss Wheelchair America family. So I was Miss Wheelchair America 2019 and Erika was Miss Wheelchair America 2011?
2010.
10. I was close.
Yeah.
So I want Erika to introduce herself, tell a little bit of her story, and we'll just kind of go from there. We've got some really cool things to share with you.
It is such an honor to be on this podcast with you. And I am, I'm so thankful to you for even giving me the opportunity to be able to do this and be a part of this.
Oh wow.
Um,
I feel the same.
yeah,
It's a huge
excited.
honor.
It's an honor. Yeah. Ditto.
Aw. And I think that's the beauty of like, well, just this community and the sisterhood, which we're going to kind of get into, but it's it's a genuine love that we have, that you develop for this other person, and you like whatever's good in your life, you want to share it, and yeah, and bless other people with it. And anyway,
Absolutely.
so
The sisterhood, I mean, the Miss Wheelchair sisterhood is unlike anything else that I've ever experienced in my life.
yeah,
Most of us haven't ever met each other in person, but as soon as we do, it's like we've known each
yeah,
other
yeah,
forever. It's just such a beautiful
yeah,
connection that we all
yeah.
share, that
I
bond.
know. I love that. And it's all, and because Miss Wheelchair America's program is advocacy based, we end up, I think that even if, no matter where you were in your advocacy journey, when you joined the Miss Wheelchair America organization, you grow as an advocate, and then you kind of have that like as like the basis for your part of your friendship. So tell
Absolutely.
us
Absolutely.
about, you are an adaptive Spartan athlete. Um, and tell us how that came about, how you were introduced to it, and then kind of like what your why is behind your Spartan racing.
Sure. So I am a Spartan para athlete, which just really is just fancy way of explaining that I happen to be an adaptive athlete that does the crazy Spartan races. For those that aren't familiar with what Spartan is obstacle course races. They're mud obstacle course races. Got to throw
Yeah.
the mud in there. They're all about endurance and agility and grit. So I fell into it actually by accident. So I have always been more so attracted to extreme sports rather than
Mm-hmm.
adaptive sports. So I've tried like wheelchair basketball, wheelchair tennis, and it wasn't something that I necessarily like
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed that much. I was more of a girl that was like, put me on a surfboard in the middle of the
Right.
ocean and throw me in the
Right.
surf. And so actually surfing was technically my original sport when
Wow.
I got injured. Surfing has always been a huge part of my life since I was a child. So my dad was a surfer, and majority of a lot of people in my
That doesn't
family were
really
also
surprise me because
surfers.
you just got like that cool or like surfer aura about you. Tell us a little bit about your
Yeah, I
injury.
love surfing. So I was actually injured in on January 20th, 2002, in a car accident that was caused by domestic violence. And basically, what that means is I was forced by my ex, who was abusive, into a vehicle. We had gotten into an argument, and he got in and started
Wow.
driving with anger and was doing 75 and a 35. I don't have a lot of memory. Um, After the accident happened, I was in a coma for 2.5 months. And I just remember when I woke up being told that I would never walk again and being very angry. And one of the biggest parts of my story is actually my mental health journey. I was never offered counseling or therapy or anything like that, and also remained in that abusive relationship for quite some time after I was injured. It did a lot to me mental health wise, a lot to,
Yeah.
mainly to my self esteem. but also the abusive relationship that I was in. I was in a relationship with a
Yeah.
narcissist. And so I became very dependent on him. He was like the last thing, so to speak, that I had left from my
Yeah.
life before injury. And so I held on, no matter how bad it was. And it ended very badly. Um, I ended up finally getting away from him, but still chose to be connected to him up
Wow.
until this year. Actually,
Wow.
I'm sorry, wait, last year, because we had a child together. And so, in my mind, because of my fear of him, I made it the best relationship possible to the point that I was even a
Wow.
part of his wedding when he got married. But it was
Right.
all because of my daughter and just trying to not ever change her opinion of her father, allowing her to grow and
Hmm.
form her own opinion. But also, like I said, out of fear of the repercussions of his anger and never wanting to have to ever deal with that again, especially in the way that I originally had to
Wow.
deal with it, which is getting paralyzed. But it was a huge learning experience, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to say that we are now free from him and have no connection with him, which was a
Right.
choice my daughter at
Yeah.
18 years old
I will
now
say
made for
that
herself.
it's funny when you bring these
Um,
things up. There's a lot of things that I think that we tuck away that we prefer not to look at, right? Maybe pretend like they didn't happen. And then when I was shot in the armed robbery, I was with the boyfriend from before, and he's a good guy, but I ended up calling off a wedding like 5 years after. And then in a rebound relationship, extremely abusive, very narcissistic. I got pregnant. I
mm,
had um but he did that same driving angry thing. Thank God. I was already paralyzed when I met him. But I thought, and I was pregnant, and I remember thinking like, I think he wants to kill us both. And he verbalized that several times. And I filed for
yeah.
divorce when she was 6 weeks old. But then again, and then I married my husband who adopted her, and we had two more kids. But I sort of did the scene. I separated from him, but when she was 13, like as far as like we didn't have any contact. But when she was 13, she asked about him, and I'd always told her like I will, once you're old enough, and I know you can call me from wherever you are with him. I will. You are obviously he's your biological
Yeah.
father, and you're welcome to meet him. And then she's 27 now, but she definitely formulated her own opinion about him and doesn't have a relationship with him either. So it kind of freaks me out.
Yeah. Me coming from, yeah, well, me coming from
Hmm.
a split family. So my parents were divorced. And I always kind of felt pulled.
Right.
You don't want to favor one over the other. You love them both, right? And I never wanted my children to ever feel like they had to choose. But at the same time, I never wanted, I knew how detrimental it could be to her psychologically if
Right.
I constantly talked bad about this man that she really
Right.
didn't know, but who she was a part of. And so I did everything
Right.
possible not to do that. Even when that meant
Hmm.
befriending him and supporting him all of those years, which I can say now, in hindsight, I'm
Yeah.
thankful for it happening all the way that it did. Because again, she was old enough to form her
Right.
own opinion, and he showed his true
Yeah.
colors. And she
Yeah.
was
You do
old
have to
enough
be
to
very
see it.
careful.
And,
Right. Because they
I
will
never had to make that
internalize,
decision for
well,
her.
I'm born from him. I'm genetically part of him. So if
Mm,
he's bad, then I'm bad too, sort of thing.
yeah. And never wanted that because at the end of the day, he has a lot of problems. Can I honestly
Hmm.
say that he is a good human? No, I don't
Right.
believe that he is. But there are good things about him. And I never
Her.
wanted
Yeah.
to feel like
Wow. We
I
have a
was the
lot of
one
more
that took
similarity. It's
that
kind of
away
crazy. The
from
more we
her,
talk, the more
So,
it holds a mirror up, to things in my own life. So,
yeah. We were definitely put in each other's paths for and I truly believe this, Karen, for so
oh
many more
yeah.
reasons than just that
I
we
have
are Miss
chills
Wheelchair
all
Sisters,
over when you say that.
and advocates. Like there's so many things. Yeah. Every time that you and I are together and I'm just in your energy space, like I just feel this strong bond with you
Right.
and
It's
have since
so
the first time we
true.
met before I knew all these things about you. So I don't believe in
I
coincidences. I
believe that
believe
too,
you're
100%.
directly put in my
And
path
it's
for a
beautiful.
purpose. Yeah.
So coming
My
from
girl.
that space, and I think the age I was, I mean, I had a lot of insecurities prior to my injury. And then when you become paralyzed, it exacerbates that. And you think like, who's going to love me?
Me
That kind
too.
of thing. It adds all that to it. And so,
But then also you
yeah,
have somebody telling you
yeah,
nobody is ever going to want you, which was what happened
right.
with me.
How,
And
yeah.
I
And I
believe
mean,
that
and
and I
where we
held
are
on to
now,
that.
like what a beautiful
Yeah.
journey. Like you said, and it's a way, and you've taken this and then made this your why with your Spartan racing, and then you help other people with it, which I think is
Yeah.
what more beautiful way. Like you said, our vulnerabilities are our superpowers. That's what you said.
They
Yeah,
are. Our vulnerabilities are our biggest strengths, right? But it
very
takes a
much so.
lot of courage and a lot of strength to be vulnerable. But our vulnerabilities can literally be somebody else's survival guide. And when I learned that, that was a huge part of my healing journey, was realizing that I needed to be vulnerable and I needed
Yeah,
to share the not so pretty things, right? The messy, ugly things about my life. I had to take that Miss
yeah,
Wheelchair mask off and be like, nope, this is
yeah.
me and this is all of me. And it's not always pretty. And I did that because I knew that if I did that, that I was going to save somebody else's life. And so, you talk about my why. My why in Spartan absolutely is my own mental health. But falling into that community, kind of by accident, was where I found my tribe. There are a lot of people within the Spartan community
Mm-hmm.
who deal with
Mm-hmm.
invisible scars. So my scars, the
Mm-hmm.
physical ones, are very visible. You can look at me and tell I've been through some stuff. But you don't see the invisible scars, which is the PTSD, the anxiety, the depression, the suicidal ideation, all of the mental health things that went along with me getting
Right.
paralyzed and the last almost 20 years of life. And that really gave me a platform. And I started meeting all of these people who are totally able bodied that are telling me that I'm their
Mm-hmm.
inspiration. And they start opening up about their PTSD, their mental health battles.
Right.
There's a lot of them that are in recovery from substance abuse. And they're like, when I see you out on on the Spartan course, and I'm ready to give up on the race because I'm beat down mentally and physically from the race.
Wow.
I see you and I'm like, no, if she can do it, I can do it. And they finish. And then it ends up being this connection that's way more than just completing a race. They find out that
Right.
I also have more scars that aren't visible than I do that are visible. And
Mm-hmm.
the invisible scars are the ones that have dictated my
Wow.
life for many
Yeah, and
years,
when you brought up and
until I
told me your
started
why,
being
so
vulnerable
we,
and
as we
sharing
see each
them.
other at these different expos and we have little moments together, you shared that you had attempted suicide. I literally told you, I was like, in the y- really,
When
I,
I
I
idealized it over and over and over again. Yeah, like I would lay in my room, Karen,
wow,
and think of all the ways that I could do it that would be less harsh on my family. And then I would go, nope, I have my
right,
kids. I cannot
right.
transfer this pain that
So
I
three
am in the
years
midst
into
of to
my
them.
injury,
I can't do that.
was when I came to fully accept I would never walk again, right? Highly likely I would never walk again. It took that long. I was broken up with the first boyfriend, thinking that no one might ever love me, right? No, he had never told me that, but that kind of led to me after this incident getting into this relationship with Caroline's biological father. But it was a feeble attempt. It was
Hey,
really
Karen.
probably more of a cry for help, but I wasn't sure I wanted to live this life paralyzed. Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Hey, Karen.
Oh, you're good. We
Can
could
we
just cut this
pause just a
out.
second? Okay, hold on just a second. I'll tell you why in a minute.
Girl, I totally get
Okay,
it. You
my
got to do what you got to
paraplegic
do.
bladder is not happy right now.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I don't want to pee my
I
chair.
completely understand
So
that.
I'm just putting a pad underneath me.
No, we'll edit it
Okay,
out.
we're good. Yeah, we
They
can
don't have to
edit that
know
out or not edit
everything.
it out because it is a part of
Okay,
our
good.
life.
Okay, good, right? That's so funny. Like, and it's so funny that, and you
Okay,
know what else
we're
I
good
love
now. I can
about
pee myself now.
being around my friends that are paralyzed is that like that's something you might not say to an able-bodied person, maybe somebody that's really close to you, but not everyone. And we can like have these conversations and 100% relate to the things that we hide from the world all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I have
Because
like
yeah.
zero modesty when I'm with you or any of our other friends
Yeah. Yeah.
when it comes
Yep.
to stuff
Yeah.
like that, because
100%.
I
I just
know
had
you
3
get
cups of
it. I know
coffee.
that
Who
if I'm
knows
like,
what's going to
hey,
happen
pause
before
for a second, I'm about to pee myself, you get it.
that makes me feel a little
Well,
better.
and
I'm
that's
like, she
my
probably only
problem.
drinks
I've had
water, but I was
umpteen
like,
cups of coffee this morning to get going again. So, yeah.
right. Yeah. Cause coming off of that
Oh, no.
weekend, I finally had a
On days
weekend of a
like
little bit of
today,
rest.
I
Okay. So
have to be
let's see where
caffeinated.
we were. Let's try to figure out where we were. Okay. The suicide. So, let's see. All this kind of,
Yes, you're
I
fine.
was contemplating this whole rest of my life thing, which 3 years, so I'm say 21, 22, I'm still really young. And so the rest of my life is this long time, and I was feeling unlovable and I wasn't sure I could do it. I took some pills that I had, but then a lot of them, and then immediately called my best friend and told her what I'd done. And then, she called my parents, and I ended up doing some inpatient psychiatric work. And, it didn't take me long to sort of like come around at that point,
Yeah.
to, what was possible and the hope. But until you brought up our community, the people with disabilities, wheelchair users, a lot of disabilities, but, and the rates of suicide and the fact that you had also attempted, I think I had pushed that so far back into the recesses of my brain. Like I hadn't thought about it. And I was like, wow, Erika, like I think I pretended like that didn't happen.
Mm, yeah, yeah, and it's easy to do that. So I think, especially with us, with people within our community, the disability community, who are looked at. So we're
Yeah.
very recognizable. I don't want to say looked at as
Yeah.
celebrities, but there is kind of a little bit of that. And what it is just that we're very recognizable. We're very well known. And so I feel like a lot of times, I know for me in my
Yeah.
personal journey, I had to have that mask on, right? Because everybody's always telling me what an inspiration I am and how I'm their
Right.
hero and they get out of bed every day because of me. And so I'm like, oh God, like I can't tell people what's really going on at
Mm-hmm.
home. And so for many years, actually throughout Miss Wheelchair America, I lived a double life. When I was on the road, I had this mask, this strong, inspirational, um, vivacious woman who was doing all of these positive things for the community and in my advocacy. But then when I was home, there
Yeah.
were days where I would
Wow.
totally isolate myself for days on end and lay in my bed and think of all the ways I could kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't
Wow.
until I had, it's funny because I call it my spiritual awakening, but what it was a nervous breakdown. I went
Wow.
16 years with no counseling, no therapy. I was literally just on autopilot trying to make it, with that mask on, and even hid it from my
Mm-hmm.
family. Like there's a lot of stuff that my family never knew until I had my nervous breakdown, my spiritual awakening. And a lot of it was
Wow.
because
Wow.
counseling and seeing a therapist
Mm-hmm.
was never even
You know what? I
mentioned
think I
to me.
fixed. I
It
I
was like
did
this
my
taboo
undergrad in
thing, like, oh, we'll just
psychology
give her another
and then my master's in
antidepressant.
social work. It was
We'll
not
give her
by
a,
accident. I wanted to help other people, but I think I was trying to figure myself out too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it wasn't until I finally hit rock bottom, and had to make that phone call to my
Wow.
mom, like, Mom, I need you here with me right now. Like, my brain is telling me to kill myself, but I don't want to die. And I think those are the exact words I said to her. I would never forget the moment. I
Wow.
was in my car, I was driving, and literally my brain was saying, drive in front of a tractor trailer. Just pull out in front of them.
Wow.
And I scared myself. I pulled over on the side of the road and I'm shaking and I get on the phone with my mom and I'm hysterical. I'm like, Mom, I
Wow.
need you at my house now. I'm trying to get home. Like I'm right down the road. I don't want to
Right.
die. I don't want to die. And I don't even know what that did to my mom.
Wow.
But she was here. I know when I got to the house, she was here, and she laid next to me in my bed for 3 days, and did anything
Right.
that I needed, including calling my doctors and
Yeah.
going, look, she doesn't need another pill. She needs something more than that. She's crying out for help.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally just came down to I just I couldn't handle life anymore. I had been
Yeah.
dealt, whether it was by choices I made or
Yeah.
choices that are out of my control, right? So there's a lot of things that are out of
Wow.
my control with this disability, that I just wasn't strong enough to carry it anymore, and I broke down. But that was a pivotal moment in my life, and in hindsight, I look back and I'm so thankful for that day. I'm
Yeah.
so thankful for my mom. I'm so thankful for my doctor who didn't brush me aside, literally got me in that
Yeah.
day, and
Yeah.
got me in counseling and therapy very, very quickly. But that was where I finally got a diagnosis. And
Right.
I
And
was
normal
told, you
reactions
have
to what you've been
complex
through.
PTSD. And all
Mm-hmm.
of these things are okay. They're normal.
Absolutely.
You're not crazy.
Still.
You're not, because there
And
is this negative stigma attached to mental health and mental illnesses. And oh my gosh, yeah,
yeah.
still. And it was very validating for me to hear that I was okay.
Right.
I was normal. I just have experienced trauma and a
Yeah.
degree of
Yeah.
trauma multiple times throughout my life that my brain didn't know how to deal with. Right. So
Yeah.
I, at that point, once I started my
Yeah.
healing, was where I also took that mask off and was like, you know what? This is me, and this is all the pieces of me,
Yeah.
and I'm going to share it because I know there are thousands of other people out
Yeah.
there in my community that are feeling this exact thing, but don't have the voice yet to say, I need
Yeah.
help. And so maybe if they see me as this inspirational person, being vulnerable and sharing these
Yeah.
dark, messy things that nobody wants to talk about,
So
it'll
you
give
are
them
doing the
the
coolest thing ever,
encouragement to
which
also
is
seek out whatever it is
planning your
they
climb of
need
Mount
to be
Kilimanjaro. Can
their
you
healthiest
tell us
selves.
the sort of like the why in that, and how that's really
Yeah.
sort of a metaphor for your suicide prevention and mental health?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I am climbing Mount Kilimanjaro
Crazy.
in Tanzania, September 12th. 2022 is when I get on my first flight to head to Africa. But I'm not doing this because I'm an adaptive athlete.
Yeah.
Um, I'm doing this because I have lost way too many friends in the disability community to
Hmm.
suicide.
Yeah,
And
I was just gonna say,
statistically speaking, the
because it's almost like
statistics for
we,
our
yeah, because
community
we
are
don't
very,
count or we
very
don't
big,
matter. Yeah.
which is disgusting to me.
Yeah.
It's absolutely disgusting because we don't matter. Hmm. And we're always
Oh
an
yeah.
afterthought. And I think
I feel
sometimes it's
that a
like
lot of time when it comes to
this
medical care and things like
mindset
that.
of, well, they're already like physically compromised, like their life's already half over anyway, so who cares? Yeah. Yes. Oh, accessibility. Like there's, yeah. And so like as a whole
Oh
for the
yeah.
disabled community, that is kind of how it feels for us. And I think that there is also some reality to that, that is the way it is, right? And so I'm climbing the mountain as a metaphor. Yes, I'm really physically climbing the mountain, but the mountain is totally metaphorical of,
Right.
of being able to capture people's attention. So they see this girl
Yeah.
who, yes, I happen to be an adaptive athlete, but I'm not a mountain climber. I'm a Spartan and a CrossFit athlete. I don't climb mountains. That's not my thing. But I'm doing it to keep people's attention. And so I'm currently being filmed for a documentary
I
that's
love
called
that.
Meandering Scars, by a production company called Birdmine out of LA. Um, and I am doing it to highlight not just my own personal journey, around, my mental health journey, and my battle with suicidal ideation and
Yeah.
all of the mental health that comes along
Yeah.
with that, but more so to document my friends' stories who are no longer here with us. They are my why. When I lost them,
Mm-hmm.
and this happened probably with every single one of them, it was this self-reflection of maybe I should have reached out. What could I have
Right.
did?
Wow.
And then also coming to the acceptance
Wow.
of there wasn't anything that I could do then, but there's a whole lot that I can do now. And their stories matter.
Yeah.
And they need to be heard
Wow.
because I don't want to have to share any more stories of any other friends
Nope.
that died because the world was too heavy, right? Because we live in a world
Yeah.
as people with disabilities that's not built for us. And
Absolutely.
it adds so many challenges physically, but more so mentally, because it does make us feel like we're less than or that we don't matter. We get
Mm-hmm.
more no's than yeses, and this needs to be
Right.
talked about. And I think that the biggest thing that needs to be talked about is why those statistics are so big, because again, all of them matter. They were all amazing, amazing, very well-known advocates within our community that were
Yeah.
doing the things that they did respectively, whether it was they were athletes, they were
Yeah.
comedians, they were role models. Um, Everything that they did was for the better of the community, not themselves. They were some of the most selfless people that I ever knew. They were the people
Yeah.
who I knew that at any
Right.
point in time, I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, if I
Yeah.
called them because I was in that dark space and idealizing taking my own life, they were going to pick up the phone and they were going to talk me off that ledge. And I can't let that go,
Amazing.
not recognized, and I can't not talk about it. So some of their stories will be
Wow.
talked about in the documentary. Um, and I'm hoping that with this documentary, I can save lives. I can get somebody to stop
Mm-hmm.
when they're ready to take that pill, when they're ready to pull that trigger, when they're ready to go to sleep and not wake up,
Right. Right.
that
Yeah,
they've
that's
seen
really
this
powerful and amazing. And
and or
I mean,
heard this
I'm
and they stop
like,
and they go, wait a
I
minute,
just, I
I'm
couldn't be
not going to do
happier.
this.
I
My
can't
life
wait to
matters.
see this documentary, and when it comes out, I can't wait to follow your journey, climbing that mountain. And I'm, yeah, I know. Yeah, so exciting. Yeah, so the last time I saw
Well, you're a
Erica,
part of
maybe
my
time
journey,
before
right?
last,
Because
she was like, "Hey,
you're
would
going to
you
do
want
your
to
very
do a
first
Spartan race
Spartan
with
race
my
with
team?"
me
And I
in
was like,
December.
"Absolutely."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right. And so we've been through all this stuff. So it will be happening in Tampa in December. So
I
yeah,
think
so
it was
I'm
before the pandemic
beyond
hit,
excited. And
actually.
just like Erica when she
Yeah.
started, I have no
Yeah.
idea what I'm actually getting myself into, but I will go at it with my whole heart, with every muscle and fiber of my being. And I'm so excited. Wow.
I can tell you, Karen, that my team, More Heart Than Scars, which actually happens to also be a nonprofit organization
Wow.
that is all about helping people with scars, both invisible and
So
visible,
excited.
transcend those scars, right? And know that they are more
Yeah.
than the scars that they carry. Um, is the best team that you could ever go out with for your very first Spartan, especially as an adaptive athlete. They listen to us, and if
That's
we're
amazing.
scared, they reassure us, they keep
Uh,
us safe. And I think the biggest thing is we all
wow.
start the race
That is so
together and we
exciting.
finish the race together. There's no man left behind. And we don't do this for
Right.
time or to win the race. We do this to complete the race
Amazing.
and to encourage other people who might not have the physical limitations that we have, to encourage them to push past whatever limitations they do have.
Wow.
When they see us out there on course, you'll hear random people that aren't even
That's
with us go
crazy.
more heart, and then our entire team
Wow.
says then scars. And it is a huge Spartan community
Wow.
thing. They know when they see us to
That's
yell out more
amazing. I'm
heart,
so
and that we're
excited
going to
about it.
reply
So if
back
one, so
then
it's a
scars.
nonprofit. Is there a
So
way
we
that people could
encourage,
donate
you
or
never
want to
know
get
who's
involved? Can you
watching.
tell us how to do that?
We encourage everyone. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have a website. It is a 501c3. The website you can do donations to. Also, we're all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything.
Okay,
There's ways to
cool.
donate that way as
I will
well.
add
But
that into the
the
show notes
easiest
too.
way
And then
is
you'll have to
through the
let me
website,
know
which is
when, like as this event comes closer and then the
www.morehearthanscars.org.
documentary goes out so I can share it with
Yeah.
everyone and reach as many people as possible. Like you said, like, um, I mean, your beautiful heart just radiates. And yeah, I feel very blessed to have
Absolutely.
you, as a friend and, can't wait to see. I know, right? I know, right? I know. I was born without any actual sisters, and now I have all of these beautiful sisters. So, well, thank you so much. And
You're my
I
sister. We're
can't wait
past
to see you
lives.
again in December. Oh, and yeah. So, and then I will, we do
Yeah,
our little social
absolutely.
media clip, I would love all of anybody listening to follow Erika's journey on social media as well. So,
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. And I am, yeah, again, just so honored
I love
and
you
grateful
too.
to you
Have
for giving me this
a beautiful
opportunity.
rest of your week
And
and rest up
yeah,
from
for
your
just
last
being one
Spartan
of the
race. I
best
know
sisters in the
you
whole
said it was
world.
epic, and I know
So
you're
I'm so blessed
a
to
little
have you
worn
and
out.
just love you bunches. So yeah,
Awesome.
thank you. You too. So we had my friend, I had my friend out on course with me who you'll get to meet. He'll
Wow.
be on course with us in Florida, who is
Did you?
a
Is
bent
it?
knee amputee, and he actually carried me on his back over some of the highest and
Wow.
most dangerous obstacles, and we
Is
did that
that
on
something they can
purpose to
like? Do
show
you
people the
put little
human
clips of that
ability.
on your social
So
media? Do you
here's
share
one
that?
leg. He goes by one leg. So one leg was carrying the girl with no legs. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Okay. And what's
I,
your
I do.
tell everyone what your
I
Instagram
just
name is.
today actually posted some videos on Facebook and my Instagram of him and I. So,
Mhm.
so my Instagram is at Erika
Awesome.
Erika Bogan Bogan
Right,
as
right,
in
right. Yeah.
Nancy.
Yeah.
And my Facebook is exactly the same. I'm really easy. It's just a matter of putting Erika, not CA. But I'm really, really easy to
Wow,
find,
amazing.
and
Which
you
you
can
look
Google
20,
me and
so
find
that's
pages
awesome.
and pages of all the stuff that I've done over the last however
Maybe not
many years.
today,
It's been
but
almost 20 years. It's crazy. So,
yeah. No,
thank you. I don't feel it.
I get that. I get that. Every time
I'm like,
some
this is
crazy things
chapter
happens, my best friend
41
is
for
like, "Well,
me.
that's
So,
chapter 24,
yeah,
like
hopefully
wherever
I
we
have
are in
20
this
more
crazy
chapters.
life of yours." Yeah. Anyway, all right, beautiful. We will see you again soon. Thank you so much and
Yeah, yeah,
bye.
yeah.